Welcome to All Out Movies. I hope this video finds you well. Today we're counting down the top 10 movies of the ultimate cop vs criminal showdown. Although there are plenty of classic cop vs criminal movies to choose from, there are 10 that take the cake for their ability to carry a strong protagonist as well as a strong antagonist while building that excellent tension throughout the film. That being said, let's get to the list. Number 10. American Gangster, Detective Richie Roberts vs Frank Lucas. Based on the real-life drug dealer Frank Lucas, American Gangster does a flawless job in casting two of the top talents working in Hollywood today to play opposite of each other. Russell Crowe plays Detective Richie Roberts, a straight-arrow cop trying to get to the bottom of the heroin game set in Harlem, while Denzel Washington takes on the role of the heroin kingpin himself, Frank Lucas. The film does an excellent job on telling two sides of a story, with one leading an investigation and the other trying to become the notorious drug lord he is, until finally that suspense comes to a fruition when the two characters finally come to a head towards the end of the film, all for a nice payoff. The dialogue scene that takes place between Richie Roberts and Frank Lucas thereafter truly is pure cinema gold.
Either you're somebody or you're nobody. Be right back.
Number 9. Speed, SWAT Officer Jack TRAVEN vs Howard Payne. Regarded as one of the greatest action films of all time, Speed cast Keanu Reeves to play SWAT Officer Jack TRAVEN and Dennis Hopper to play Howard Payne. And the casting was brilliant because the two actors did a superior job going back and forth with one another. Jack TRAVEN is this heroic cop going out of his way to save civilians by any means possible from the sadistic Howard Payne. The movie's plot of trying to keep a bus from exploding by staying above 50 miles per hour kept fans on the edge of their seats throughout the film. The plan, elaborated by the money-driven Payne, comes to a halt with TRAVEN's ability to outdo the criminal in getting everyone to safety. This made for an awesome fight scene between the two in the finale of the memorable train scene.
You have a hair trigger aimed at your head, what do?
Number 8. Insomnia, Detective Will Dormer vs Walter Finch. Will Dormer, played by Al Pacino, is tasked to investigate a murder of a teenage girl in Alaska. The culprit, Walter Finch, played by Robin Williams, goes out of his way to blackmail Dormer in regards to an earlier accidental shooting committed by Pacino's character in order to avoid his own crime. This eventually turns into a game of cat and mouse, statistically directed by the mastermind himself, Christopher Nolan. This leads to the ultimate showdown between Dormer and Finch at the end of the film. We have the sleep-deprived cop up against the murderous author/criminal.
Okay. Anything else?
Number 7. Detectives David Mills and William Somerset vs John Doe. This American mystery stars Brad Pitt in one of his first major roles as Detective Mills alongside William Somerset, played by Morgan Freeman. Together they work to take on the scary serial killer of John Doe, well acted by Kevin Spacey. Doe is on a mission of choosing his victims according to the 7 deadly sins, all which leads to a haunting conclusion that is regarded as having one of the biggest twists. Although it is Mills who takes out Doe, it is Doe who gets the last laugh for completing the 7 sins. Either way, if Detective Mills really wanted to get retribution for his wife, he should have shot Doe in the balls. He wouldn't have seen that coming. Just saying.
That hurts my feelings.
Number 6. Catch Me If You Can, FBI agent Carl Hanratty vs Frank Abagnale. Tom Hanks, Leo DiCaprio, Steven Spielberg. Need I say more? The collaboration of these three is what makes this clever film number 6. Catch Me If You Can showcases the cunning Frank Abagnale, who poses as a substitute teacher, Secret Service agent, doctor, a lawyer, and even an airline pilot, all making for great entertainment. Meanwhile, Carl Hanratty is relentless in tracking Abagnale down. After countless evasions, it is Abagnale who eventually changes sides of the law and helps the FBI and Hanratty solve cases for the very same crimes he committed.
Knock knock. Who's there? Go fuck yourselves.
Number 5. The French Connection, Detective Jimmy Popeye Doyle vs Alain Charnier. It's the hardcore won't take shit from anyone Popeye Doyle against the wealthy yet slippery Charnier in this Academy Award winning film. The characters were played by Gene Hackman and Fernando Rey, and both of them did a tremendous job representing the cop and the criminal. Gene Hackman especially, who ended up winning Best Actor for the role. The character of Popeye Doyle had such an impact and left such an impression on a lot of fans that a freaking fast food chain was named after him. But it wasn't as impactful as the film's ending that left a lot of people unsatisfied, yet wanting more. In typical cop versus criminal fashion, it's usually the cop who ultimately reigns supreme. But this ending was somewhat unconventional, in which the film's main protagonist loses with his inability to catch the main antagonist. Number 4. Dirty Harry, Inspector Harry Callahan vs. Scorpio. In this classic film, we have the rough and tough Callahan up against the deranged and diabolical Scorpio, overlooking the classic lines the film is most famous for.
You gotta ask yourself a question. Do I feel lucky?
Callahan truly was an intimidating character and a cop not to mess with. But he faced his biggest challenge yet against the psychotic serial killer Scorpio. But in the end, it was Callahan who gets the last laugh. Number 3. The Departed, Billy Costigan vs. Colin Sullivan. An Academy Award winner for Best Picture, The Departed stars Leo DiCaprio and Matt Damon as the undercover cop and the mole within the Massachusetts Police Department respectively. This film makes for high intense drama when each of the characters are left with obstacles to overcome in order to avoid compromising their true identities with the respective organizations they're each infiltrating. The movie is held with high performances, especially when stakes are high towards the end of the film. It's the cop versus the criminal, the rat versus the rat, and when it came time for the ultimate showdown between Costigan and Sullivan, fans were invested of how everything would turn out. And in true Martin Scorsese fashion, fans left the movie theater happily knowing they just saw one of the best films of that year. Number 2. Die Hard, Detective John McClane vs. Hans Gruber. Probably the greatest action film of all time, stars one of the greatest cops of all time, as well as one of the greatest criminals of all time. It doesn't get any better than Detective John McClane vs. Hans Gruber. Die Hard stars Bruce Willis and Alan Rickman in what is probably regarded as their most iconic roles. You have the cold and calculating Gruber up against the badass and heroic McClane. The movie inspired many films that followed it thereafter and even got their own nicknames. Speed became Die Hard on a bus, Air Force One became Die Hard on a plane, you get the picture. And that inspiration is all led by the memorable characters of John McClane and Hans Gruber.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Number 1. Heat, Lieutenant Vincent Hanna vs. Neil McCauley. Pacino, De Niro, what more could you ask for? It's good guy versus bad guy. Heat is one of the greatest crime films that is a perfect representation of cop versus criminal. Al Pacino plays Lieutenant Vincent Hanna, who makes it his mission and duty to stop Robert De Niro's Neil McCauley. Vincent Hanna personifies the symbol of being hard-driven and is a cop who will do anything possible to uphold the law, whereas Neil McCauley personifies the opposite. He knows his strengths, he knows what he's good at, and he'll be damned to see anyone get in his way of that.
That's the discipline.
That's why the ending shootout scene is that much more epic. You have the two powerful forces in which one represents the law and the other is fighting against it. I hope you guys enjoyed this list. Please let me know yours in the comments below. If you liked this video, please subscribe for future vids. This is All That Movies signing out, and I wish you all a great rest of the day. Thanks for watching.